Hey, listeners. My name is Elisha, the founder of the Witnesses podcast. It's so beautiful to have you listening to our podcast. And I want you to know something that means a whole lot to me. Thank you for tuning in. And one thing I love to tell all of our listeners is it's not just about you listening, but listening to understand. Understanding is the most important thing. So important. So, you have to listen, learn, and practice. Thank you so very much and happy listening.
All right, go. Birgitta, it's so nice to have you on the
Yeah,
show. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you? Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, I'm doing fine. Okay, oftentimes I love to talk about the essence of this show, which is to invite amazing guests like Birgitta, to come talk to us about their triumphant stories because we believe that in our audience, there might be someone who is stuck up in a situation that Birgitta came out of triumphantly. So, by that person listening to you speak, he or she might actually pick an information that will lead to their transformation. So, that's basically the essence of the show. Alright, Brigitte, within the next few minutes, let us get started with your story, the challenges that you faced, and how you overcame them. Then afterwards, I've got some beautiful questions for you. Okay, over to you, Brigitte.
All right. Oh my gosh, I'm going to have to put that in a nutshell, Elijah.
Yeah.
The question is, what have I not been through? But okay. Uh, I mean, my life has been such a mixed bag, a totally mixed bag of different trauma. And, when we go through trauma, when we go through it, we don't really understand how to get out of it, because we're so stuck in it. And I will say this before I start. It doesn't matter what you go through. And even if you've gone through something as a child, the key is to always forgive yourself and to take responsibility for your life, because you can roam around in that victimhood all you like, but it's not going to get you anywhere. So take back your power, because we allow ourselves to be disempowered. And rather than living our lives, we allow ourselves to be lived. And these are some key things that I have learned. But going back to my childhood, and yeah, I was abused as a kid by a friend of the family. And growing up in the 80s, well, the 70s, this happened in the 80s, early 80s, life was very different to what it is now. And so I didn't talk about that with my parents. I just kept it bottled inside. And so, poof, out the window went my childhood, so to speak. And I was like 11 years old. And when we returned to Holland, at the age of 14, I lost my dad to coronary heart disease. I already had some issues with my weight because I was the tallest in the class, and I was always very lanky. But I started to throw up my food, my lunch, my school lunch, my sandwiches. But at the dinner table, I would just have my dinner, and it just kept going like that. And the other thing was, I had such a fear of boys. It was incredible. If there was a boy in the hallways at school, and my classroom was just on the other side, oh, forget it, Elijah. I would take another route to get to the classroom. That's just insane. But that's how scared I was. I was so scared. I was always scared of saying the wrong thing. People bullied me. And my even after my dad died, my confidence took a real nosedive. I was walking around like the Hunchback of Notre Dame, and I just didn't want to be seen. And so my mom put me on this course, a modeling course, and just to help create a little bit more consciousness. But it's very hard because when you carry such an eclectic bag of trauma, of mixed trauma, it's really hard to just put someone on a course and say, your confidence is going to get better by magic. It was really, what I needed was was help. But anyhow, I did it. And then I got, I mean, some hairdressers saw me, and he wanted me as a main model for a hair show. I thought, great, great. And, but it wasn't so great because my hair from here was cut into a pixie cut, and I felt really ugly. Oh my gosh, that just did not help me. And so it was, yeah. I mean, I did try my hand at modeling. I was a real sadomasochist because after school, I really wanted to be someone. I wanted to show these kids at school that I could be someone. Well, sugary banana me. I mean, it was a cattle market. It was superficial, it was shallow. People slept around. Things are done online today, but at the time I had a portfolio, I had my set cards, and I'd have to go to castings, and I'd be sitting there for 2 hours, and then I'd be called in, and they'd flip through my book. Thank you very much. That was it. But I mean, I traveled the world, though. I did, and I bartended. I was a hostess. I did a lot of promotion work because wherever I went, I would work. I mean, I could manifest that. Just the modeling was just crap, and in a way, I'm glad because I was also assaulted in the modeling industry, and I carried that with me again. Yeah, I was a hairdresser in New York, and it would have been my word against his, and so I bottled it up inside. And my superpower was always not eating. I could starve myself, and yeah, and the other thing, running away from my emotions, was the fact that I could just keep working. And I was working sometimes 7 days a week, but that was me. And yeah, so, but at some stage, I hit rock bottom. Even my relationships, the several that I had, were very dysfunctional. Of course, because one bit of trauma creates another bit of trauma. Well, you're not healing. Well, the universe was like, okay, well, you're not healing. We're just going to make the experiences a little bit worse for you. Maybe then you will open up your eyes. And so I did in 2009. And he's now my ex, but he flew over from the States to be with me in Holland, where I was living at the time. And I didn't even know he was like a part-time crack addict. And so I found out the hard way. And I was like, I mean, trust me, I've done my stint with drugs when my stepdad passed away in 2000, and it was recreational, but I had a blackout because I took too many E's. And it was just, and that was because, when something happens to you, it's like people have a version of me, oh, Birgitta is this happy persona. So that's what they wanted to see. So I could just talk about the death of my stepdad who passed away from cancer, for a few minutes. And then it was like, okay, they didn't want to talk about it anymore. So I just went with the crowd, and I took Coke, I took E for several months. And then one day I woke up and it was like, what am I doing with my life? So anyhow, yes. So in 2009, fast forward in 2009, and yeah, he was held for ransom by the Crips because he had stolen from them, the Dutch Crips. And I mean, I helped the police save his life. And then the leader of the Crips threatened to find me and kill me. And my mom had already taken me out of Holland in a space of like 2-3 days. And I rented a place not too far from her in the UK. And my ex, when the police found him, was deported back to the US. And at that point, I mean, I was just so lost. I downed a whole box of ibuprofen. The only thing that happened to me was like I had a good night's sleep and my headache was gone. And so my mom was like, well, Birgitta, why don't you go and see a counselor? And I did. But all the counselor said to me was, Birgitta, you're going to be fine. You're strong enough. And I thought to myself, what the heck am I going to do with that? That doesn't help me. I mean, you're a counselor, yeah? Counsel me. But that didn't happen. So I had to figure out another way. And that's how I dove into the holistic route. And I found a Reiki healer that really just aligned with my spirit. That healing really aligned with my spirit. And that was the start of my holistic journey. Now, just going back to my ex, he overcame his demons. He did. So I take my hat off to him for that. It took him quite a few years after that. But we all go through our own experiences, and we all have our own trauma to heal. So that was really for me rock bottom. And so I studied many healing modalities because I just wanted to understand. And I wanted to understand energy. So I also studied the emotional freedom technique, which is the tapping the trauma or the traumatic experience, the emotions out of your system. It's actually the trigger, and it's so profound. I loved it, and I saw some amazing results. But I also became a meditation teacher, studied aroma touch, angelic Reiki, so many other healing modalities. And so that was the start of my holistic journey. I mean, of course, I hit rock bottom, another time, but that's okay. That's part of life, because we're here to learn, and we're here to return to that love for ourselves. And I mean, look at the world today. It's like everyone's a little bit lost. It's like, yeah, but what? Well, how do I find my authenticity? What does that even mean? It means that you're just true to your own spirit. And that you don't really care what the world thinks of you, but what's important is what you think and how you feel about you. And it's not having all these labels slapped to your mind. I am this, I am that, I have all these negative emotions. Oh, you know what? When you go through something traumatic and you keep it in the archives of your mind, so to speak, it's like, then you meet someone or something happens, is like, oh wait, that's a trigger. No, I cannot do that. And that's that. I call it that social conditioning. We wear that mask for different occasions. But I don't have a problem about talking about any part of my life, because I have nothing to hide. I don't need to wear a mask anymore. And I'm not afraid anymore. Plus the fact that I'm not a people pleaser anymore, because it was like always like, hey, I was this welcome doormat because I was so afraid to hurt other people. What did they think of me? Oh no, I cannot do that. Oh, but. And I was trying to fit into a mold that made me super, super uncomfortable.
You've got a really inspiring story. I love the last part where you said you're not a people pleaser. I really love that. Okay, all right. So let us dive into the questions. Are you ready?
Oh, I'm ready. Fire
Oh,
away.
all right. Okay, so let us talk about the importance of mental health and well-being in these changing times. Can you talk about that?
That's really interesting that you touch on that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, very interesting. I have talked about this in my corporate place. It's so important, mental health and well-being. And because, and let me just focus on the corporate, on this segment. I worked probably an extra 5-something months on top of the year last year. I nearly burnt out, and when I did, I still kept going. I lost so much weight once again, because I felt that responsibility, because I had 2 full-time roles in the company, and I couldn't do it anymore. And I stood up for myself, and it was like, but so many people are doing so much these days, and they're in the corporate world, and it's like they're being lived. They don't have a life anymore. Their personal life is stripped away from them. And that's why it's so important to reel back your power, as I always call your I am power. And it's so important to have that balance in your life. And this is not just about work, but in everything. And we are bombarded on a daily basis by everything from social media, in the media as well. I mean, I don't even have a TV, Elijah. I don't even care. No, I don't really, I don't, no. Everything is just an illusion, but people buy into so many things. And even in social media, it's like, well, it's like everyone compares themselves to each other. Why do we do that? How about I want to be like that person? Oh my God, look what this person looks like. Oh my God, look at the house. Oh my gosh, look what they've done. Look at yourself. Yeah, that is important. It's so mental health and well-being is very much about giving your power away, but it's taking that back and looking at yourself, just saying to yourself, you know what? I'm a beautiful person. I'm awesome the way that I am. And rather than listening to the outer chatter, what goes on in the outer world, listen to your inner world, right? And plug back into source, into your higher self, your higher consciousness, and work on that relationship with yourself. Because people try and find joy without themselves. People try and find happiness without themselves, and love without them, without themselves. But everything is in here. Everything is in here. And that is just really important. But I see so many youngsters suffering. So many are lost. And we grow up in this matrix, and that's why I always say we grow up in this matrix, this terra, this which is Earth, terrarium, in this glass box, and we are told to act a certain way and be a certain way just to fit into the mold of society. But I'm here to tell you, you don't have to. Honestly, you don't have to. You're here to figure life out. And as I said, return to that love for yourself. And if you do not think you are deserving of that love, you are, because love is your divine essence. It's your divine nature.
I love that. Woo! I love that. Beautiful. Okay, we still have some questions. Okay, this is very important. It says, how do we move from victim to victor and begin the journey of healing? You got it?
Sorry, how do we go from where to
Yeah.
where?
How do we move from victim to victor and begin the journey of healing?
Well, nothing happens by magic. Yes, we have the magic inside of us, but we need to get up off that couch and look at ourselves and reevaluate our lives and take that accountability. Yeah, because if we do nothing, if we remain within that victim mentality, nothing is going to happen. Yeah, just because something happened to you when you were young, and that is not your fault, but it's still your responsibility to heal from that. Do you not want to live a better life? Are you not deserving of living a better life? Of course you are. Each and every one is worthy, and stop listening to the opinions of others, but really listen to your own heart. And only you can make your life better. For so many years, I tried to save other people. Oh my goodness, I would walk to the ends of the earth and then some, and I'd scorch myself and I'd hurt myself. But that, I had to learn. I put myself in the boxing ring. But only you have the capacity and the capability and the ability to heal yourself. It all starts with you. And that's the other thing I say. Well, listen, you want to make the world a better place? It starts with you. So, what are you going to do to turn your life around, to shift your mindset from that victim mentality to becoming the victor over your traumatic and hurtful experiences? Yeah, it's a choice. What are you going to do? Are you going to keep sitting there? Are you going to say, you know what? You're right. I'm going to start looking at my life, reevaluating my life, and I'm going to do something different. and do something. When I say do something different, I mean I had to figure it out. I mean it took me several years, but yeah, and it doesn't matter how you decide to heal. I don't care what you do. You do whatever aligns with your spirit, but don't just sit there.
Hmm. Beautiful. Oh my God. Beautiful. Okay, so Birgitta, in
Yeah.
conclusion, what advice, let's say there's a piece of advice you would like to give to the audience, what would that be? And let's say there are some people who would like to reach out to you, learn more about you and what you do. How can that be possible?
So, oh, what would I like to leave your listeners with? um, a piece of advice. Well, I've already said it, Always be you, not who the world wants you to be. Always be true to the light within you. And that is really important, regardless of what goes on in the outer world. Yeah, focus on yourself and live the life that you want. And sometimes it may take a little while. And when we manifest, if we want something in our lives, yeah, manifest it. But when you do so, don't say, I am going, I will be. Manifest it as if you've already got it, because we're all energy. And when you start to understand that we're all energy, your shift in perspective changes, and you can achieve what you set out to do. But also know that whatever you've been through in life, heal up from it, because that energy also needs to be alchemized in order for you to move forward. So, everything, as I always say, we are physical, yeah, physical in essence, physical, spiritual, and the mental, so to speak. So, mind, body, and spirit. And these three all work in conjunction with one another. So make sure you take care of all three in order to move forward in life, because you cannot heal one part and expect that if you've got something physical and you do not work on yourself on in the spirit and mind, then it's hard to move forward. So see yourself as holistic, and that is really important. And just learn to live in your own truth. It's
Beautiful. Okay, so how can they reach you if they want to learn more about you?
So you can find me on my website, powersoulhealing.com. And you can find me on Instagram under Universal Light Warriors, and my YouTube channel, which is Power Soul Healing. And you'll find a lot of my short videos on light language healing, which I love light language healing. And yeah, and I've written a book. My second one is coming out. Collaboration is coming out on the 1st of April. And then much later this year, my second solo book on my time in India at the Art of Living Center, learning about meditation. Because meditation, Elijah, is so important. Breath work is so important. So if you want one tip, listen to David J.I. at the end on YouTube. And he does like 20-minute guided meditations on anxiety, fear, living in the present moment, and love and infinite possibilities, anything. And it's so powerful, and it really rebalances you. And it's the same listening to like 432 hertz guided meditations. It just centers you, and it just realigns you. And if you think it's juju, no, it's not. It's breath work is so important.
Beautiful. I would like to have you on the show again. Maybe you come talk to us about your book. Will that be possible?
Yep, absolutely.
All right.
Love
So
to.
Beautiful. So that's gonna be the end of the show, Birgitta. Thank you for your time. Thank you for honoring the invite. It means a whole lot. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for tuning in to this incredible episode. Your support means the world to us, and we truly value you. We look forward to having you join us for the next episode. If you enjoyed what you heard, please consider rating and reviewing us on Apple Podcasts. Your feedback is greatly appreciated.